my son. The day you were born, the very forests of Lordaeron whispered the name Arthas. Child, I watched with pride as you grew into a weapon of righteousness. Remember, our line has always ruled with wisdom and strength. And I know you will show restraint when exercising your great power. Truest victory, my son, is stirring the hearts of your people. I tell you this, for when my days have come to an end, you shall be king.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is FistFury692, and welcome to another LEGO review. And I had to hold my sword here because, God, I love the Frozen Throne, and I love Frostmourne's blade in a nutshell. So I had to show a little cameo of this. So, what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to talk about the Mega Bloks Frozen Throne LEGO set. Now, I had to get into this, but before we open this up, I have to talk a little history about good old Mega Bloks when I grew up. See, Mega Bloks was not a highly Lego thing back in the day. It's nothing like compared to Legos nowadays where everybody sees Legos and stuff like that, but even Mega Bloks had a good chance against Legos. I remember seeing Mega Bloks for a long time. I even have pieces right now to show you. See, back then, they focused more heavily on detail. So, the history of Mega Bloks for me is very, very straightforward now. When I was a kid, I loved Legos. As you can tell by the collection I have. I have a lot of them. But, again, little hobby of mine. But to me personally, Mega Bloks, I never really talked much. And yet I should, because it holds a very key interest to my heart. Now, the first Mega Bloks I own, and they were way different, was the medieval set. The one, you know, these bulky guys, or this lovely orc. These were the original Mega Bloks I grew up when I was a kid, when basically these were things. Now, when you look at these guys, you could see one major difference. They're very, very bulky. Very bulky, highly, highly detailed. Let me hold it up as close as I can. They're highly detailed in every aspect of the way. making them way more different than the Lego dude because these details are outwards. Like you could feel the details and stuff like that. Very, very different than most Legos. Now, comparing this to a Lego dude, there's some key problems with them. First and foremost, the arms on the old Mega Bloks series can only bend their arms slightly, kind of like a Lego, but they're not straightforward. Like when you compare these Legos, they're not going to be able to relax his arm. So his arms are always sticking out like this pretty much the whole entire time. Instead of relaxing it like a normal Lego dude, it's out like this the whole time. And that's a huge problem. Another big problem I have with them is their heads were harder to move. Their heads, arms, legs. It may be the old quality, but honestly, the legs still don't give me a problem. They're a little heavier, but they were always bulky to move them and heavy to move them. So they weren't great in that material. However, people must have really liked them because later on, they still came out with more and more different types of them. Now, granted, they stopped making stuff like this, where they're bulky, and then upgrade them to like these that we know and love today. Now, this one's from my Pirates in the Caribbean setup there, which I can gladly show you in a few minutes. Another key difference of this so-called Mega Bloks difference between Legos. So you see here, audience, like these are the ships that I used to collect back then. As you can see, you got all the Pirates of the Caribbean set. Now, as you can see with the Silent Mary, I already talked about this thing in my video and showed how many pieces there were and stuff like that, if you're for the curious. You could see that all those pieces you see on there is mostly everything built by hand. That's the difference with Lego. However, it doesn't look like the actual ship from the movies. Now, Mega Bloks, on the other hand, you can see that that's a Flying Dutchman. The details and art design all over this boat shows it, and the Black Pearl, which is my personal favorite Black Pearl out of all of them today. They actually have higher detail than the actual Legos, making it really beautiful to have as a collection later on. Now, don't get me wrong, Silent Mary's a good ship. I love the Lego design of this, but they will never be highly detailed as Mega Bloks. So you can kind of tell they were focusing more on detail and things. But the other thing I liked about these is if you compare the Lego Jack Sparrow and this, they never really evolved besides, detail, graphics, and all that. Where Mega Bloks actually did improve on their stuff. Like, for example, their arms now bend in any direction. You can have them bend like angled. You can now bend them forward. You can now bend them any way. You can have their arms cross out like this, which the Lego, that's a sin because Lego, you can't bend them out. They're stuck always going up and down. Where here, he can go any 360, well, not 360 because obviously he can, well, he could. He can go backwards. He can go like this. He can spin his hand around. I mean, yeah, spin the hand around. That's normally like a Lego dude. But he can bend his foot. He can bend his arms. Way more innovative, in my opinion, for a Lego collector. Now, granted, there's one thing that they can say that they always can be. There's no holes on the back of his legs. As you can see there, there's no holes. So, you could say they could sit. Which, to be fair, yes, but all I have to do is just bend these legs down and he can just sit like that. He won't stay there, but he could sit. But I prefer them over the old Legos. Now, of course, nowadays, they improved even more with the Mega Bloks. Like, for example, the Call of Duty soldiers, which didn't have the same feeling as, what they did back then with the Pirates in the Caribbean, because you could feel and see Lego on that. Now it just feels like a Lego toy, like an actual little minifigure toy. Which I don't mind, don't get me wrong, it still had turns, pieces are nice, everything looks highly detailed on it, but it doesn't feel nostalgic and revolutionary than the old basic Mega Bloks that they did back then. So, in my opinion, I like the old ones back then than this one. But I'm getting way off track. We are now talking about the Lego Frozen Throne. Now, granted, I was glad to get this because apparently online it went up more and more in price thanks to pretty much Blizzard selling their thing to Microsoft now to $68 billion. Yeah, so I know these is probably going to go up tremendously. So I gotta say thank you to my sister that got this for me, and I really appreciate it. Now, a problem is this has been used. It's been open. But the thing is, though, we made sure all the pieces were there. So, even though it was open, everything is still there. There is no missing pieces whatsoever. I even checked myself before the video and all that, and I retaped it back on to make sure. So what do we get out of this? So, we get the most iconic dragon that we see in the most badass opening we'll ever see. Now, obviously, you get the Frozen Throne with Arthas himself. You get the Blade himself and him. So, not many pieces to him. Although, the art design for Arthas himself, if you can look very closely, looks pretty badass. I mean, I expect that from a Mega Bloks series to where the highly detail is necessary. Now, does it make it move better than any of the Mega Bloks? Well, we're just going to have to open this up and see, my friends. Come on. There we go. There we go, audience. You can see, got all the lovely bags here. Oh, I forgot to tell you too, audience. If you could see it, let me look down to see if there's a camera. There's a mystery thing on the end. It comes with a little mystery box, which is right here, which is I think a mystery weapon. So, we'll have to open that up and see what it is when that time comes. But for now, we are going to start building the Frozen Throne. Now, granted, there's only 150 pieces in this, so it looks like there's going to be not many time space that jumps to this, but we'll see. But there's a lot of more we have to do, so let's get started on building the Frozen Throne.
Go
Whew, okay, so it's all completed. So what do we get? Here's the frozen throne, as you can see. Very tiny as you expect. But then again, the box has 150 pieces, so what do you expect? So here's the Lich King himself, nicely detailed. Again, what I expect from Mega Bloks. Really highly detailed that I love so much. And of course, we can't stop talking about the dragon. And holy fucking, its wings are like beyond. If I compare my arm to this, the tip of my hand to almost near the joint of my hand. Yeah, this thing's fucking big. God, eh, eh, there. I think this looks really cool. This would be a nice little good display thing. I only have a couple of problems with it. Mostly with the belts. The throws and thrown hit just right on the top right here, or any of these small little spinal pieces, you know, little things that point upward, break very easily because it's held by one little piece, and then it can go pop. So you can go like this. So you can lose them very easily. Anything that hits it just right can lose the throws and thrown itself, which I gotta say, I love the design of the ice. I mean, the color of the bricks and all that, I love that. It looks really cool. It looks like actual pure ice. I like that a lot. And the other problem I have is the other thing is the dragon. Not the dragon himself. I mean, obviously, he looks pretty badass. He looks like the dragon from the thing for an undead. You got the frozen belly and everything, the undead skin. But this part right here can easily come off. This part, this long piece right here. See, wait, look, see? Can easily come off. The back part can easily come off. The scales can be a little bit hard. And it's a little bit hard to hold because the scales can be a little bit pointy. They're soft though, so it's not like it's going to be danger for kids, but it's like if you try to grab it fast enough, you could hurt yourself because of how pointy this thing is. So be mindful not to touch me so much. I love the little mouth thing. Uh, so yeah, in conclusion, for the price of it is now, if it was back then, I would say not bad at all. But now, with it going up for only 150 pieces for this Lego thing, yeah, I can't see this being like. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a cool figure. I like the figure. I mean, yeah, granted, it doesn't look mildly like Lego. Frostmore Blade definitely looks like a little miniature toy thing, but it's not bad. It really isn't. But I just, for the price of it, I have to give it like probably a 7 out of 10. Great detail in everything. Great detail in the frozen throne. Great detail on, I can't even hide the dragon from the camera. That's me setting it down on a TV tray. My TV tray is pretty low where my thing is, and it's like, fucking, the dragon's pretty cool too, despite the fact that easily parts are a little bit hard to grab and stuff like that, but not bad. However, there is one thing to talk about. Where did it? Oh, there it is. The mystery bag. So, let's open it up. I wonder what's inside.